Hi, my name is Allison. I am the owner of Makoya Home. I currently live in West Palm Beach, Florida, and you're watching Etsy Shop Audit.
You said the 1 year you did 30, then you did 50, I think last year. Is it still trending up this year?
This year I'm at 11,000. So no, it doesn't look that way. And it's so weird because as of the last 2 weeks, my orders are coming in. They're just coming in. And before that, for 2 months, crickets, nothing.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure I understand what's going on.
All right, Allison. So we are going to jump into your Etsy shop audit. We have shop name Makoya Home, shop age 4 years old, the niche, women's home decor, boho, global fabrics. I threw that in there because you threw in more than that I could fit here, but I wanted to throw in global fabrics because that's an interesting thing to say as the niche, but I kind of have some ideas of like who could be looking for that type of stuff. So we'll talk about that. Sticking point, you had advertising in social media, total revenue, 143,000, but growing year over year. You said 30,000, then 50,000, and you're hoping to get that to your income goal of $100,000 per year. Does that sound accurate?
That is accurate.
Awesome. Okay. So your biggest sticking point right now, advertising, social media. Tell us more about that, please.
So I am doing advertising, but I don't feel like I'm getting enough sales from my advertising, or I have like 143 products that I sell, and I am advertising. And I know this now based on taking your ads course that I am advertising way too many of them. So I'm not like choosing like Nazreen, the last person. I'm not choosing my top 3 or 4 sellers and advertising those. I am advertising 63 of my 131 products. So I'm not really getting. I feel like I can do better, and I need to understand how to do my advertising.
Got it.
Yeah.
The advertising though, tell me about that. Is it just the Etsy ads that we're talking advertising? Are we doing external? What are we doing? Just the Etsy
ads at, I started at $25, at a budget of $25. And I was getting a lot of sales, but clearly my advertising budget was just blown. It was just so much when and revenues were, I would say, how do I say this? About 80% of my sales came from ads.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's such a great thing because I want to be found like naturally, organically.
Sure.
So that's a part of the problem. Also, I'm getting tons and tons of favorites and stuff, but no one's really buying. I'm getting people who are saying, "Oh, I love this," but they're not buying. And I'm not sure why that is. So that's part of the problem as well.
Okay. Chris, can we get the shop and we can take a look, and then what we'll have you do is we can have you share, and so that way there we can dig into, because I think the Etsy ads is going to tell us a story, and then we can kind of get that and we can unpack that.
So Scott, first impressions here. I'm liking the designs. What are your thoughts on this banner generally?
Bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think it could be improved. It tells me the story of like you sell pillows and a little bit of artwork, but it kind of seems like it's focusing on pillows.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my first thing. I wouldn't say bad. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look well, the technical word I think is cheesy. It doesn't look cheesy. It looks fine. But I do think there's a lot going on in each one, so it doesn't bring my attention to one specific type of product.
Okay.
But again, I don't think this is something that is going to make or break your sales right now. I think it looks good enough. Let's just say that. The logo though, I like the logo. I like your design, but go ahead, Chris.
The big change I would make there is just being slightly more product focused, right? We're showing kind of the whole room, and it loses the ability to really show off the design there. But other than that, I think we're good. I like the logo calls out to me very well, and it's readable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and all of this stuff looks good. I mean, it shows the room. only thing is on your decorative boho cushion. So on like those there, so is that the like the pillow? Is that like the cushion? Is that what's being?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my only thing is is the images are so small that we're showing like more of the top of the room. I would want that to be a little bit closer. But again, we're nitpicking right now. Like we're just kind of like looking at it. Like if I was to try to increase conversions, because you said you're getting traffic, you're getting favorites, you're getting things like that, but you're not getting the sales. So I'm just trying to see like, how can we increase the conversion? And these are some things like those there fill up the spots really good. Like that one there, Chris, in the middle, they're like plaid pillowcase or the buffalo plaid. Like those are all like, you can see them really clearly. And I like that. And if I was to say between like the, is it authentic mud cloth pillow, and then you have the mud cloth pillow on the right there that has it's on a white background. We got to do the other one that's got the mock-up. The white background just looks like it's there floating. Like I would say that one there, I would want that because all your other ones are done. It just looks like maybe that one was done and you didn't have time to do it or whatever.
So you're saying that I should just make the ones that are on plain white background, like do like a lifestyle shot like the rest of them? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I think that would help. I mean, pictures are beautiful. I mean, you got, and again, same way we just did one with Nazreen, like, this shop, you can see it's got a good cohesiveness to it. It feels like it's good, similar colors and tones and style. And it feels good. So I don't think there's anything there. Like you said, the banner, could it have, more, product focused, like maybe one of these close-ups of the pillow, so you can really see it up close. Yes. But again, like we're kind of nitpicking at this point when it comes to that stuff. And so you said the 1 year you did 30, then you did 50, I think last year. And is it still trending up this year? Does it look like you're going to be up?
This year I'm at 11,000. Okay. So no, it doesn't look that way. And it's so weird because as of the last 2 weeks, my orders are coming in. They're just coming in. And before that, for 2 months, crickets, nothing.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure I understand what's going on.
Well, and again, I don't know that we have to understand. I think it's the way that it kind of ebbs and flows. It's like, it's business generally. Now, if you were in a specific niche that you're like, this time of year is big for boho decorating, right? Like, it's like, oh yeah, of course. Right. But that's not the case. It could be just more people are moving right now and redecorating, or maybe it's the time that people are redecorating their home this year. Or like, there could be different reasons, but I don't know that we have to pinpoint that. Would you say your Q4 was your best quarter? No,
never.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But I could see that though, because you're not really gift giving. Right. You're more, people are going there to decorate.
Yes.
Right.
It's a much more personal decision, right? Yeah. Like unless somebody loves mudcloth, you're not going to go pick them out a mudcloth pillow necessarily, right? You might get a best friends forever pillow, but you're not going to get them a really cool designed piece. That's a very specific aesthetic.
And even with the mudcloth pillows, I actually, so I don't know if you know, but mudcloth it's made in West Africa in Mali, and it's all organic cotton. It's all hand loom, hand dyed. It's all handmade. Nice. And it's made in strips of 5-inch width that totals about 40 inches wide by about 60 inches long.
Okay.
So what I do at times to differentiate myself from other sellers who sell mudcloth is I would rip apart the 6 inches, just take it apart and create my own design. And sometimes those tend to sell more because, for example, that pillow that you're looking at on the right, the one on the very right with the black with the white arrows.
Yeah.
That is one of my best sellers, but I'm not the only person who sells that pattern on Etsy. So I would do something different with that. I might just rip it apart and do that, and then a solid white, or just to make the design different so I don't look like everyone else.
Got it. That's smart, actually, to do that. I think that's a good idea. So this is your best seller here.
Yeah.
And what would you say what else could that person buy? Like what else, like, are they buying this just one off? Are they buying it because they're redecorating and they want, like what other, I guess, aesthetics, like would it be for, like, if I was to buy this, what kind of other decor would I be buying with it?
I do have like for people who want, because I don't only sell pillows, I sell aprons, I sell anything that's soft, I sell
Okay.
table runners with mats that are like very unique.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what they'd wanted to add, but I kind of feel that people come to me, and I have a lot of repeat customers, but they come to me because they are decorating, redecorating, and they want this style of pillow. They want something that's mud cloth, or, I think that's my main audience, although I do have non-mud cloth and traditional pillows that, traditional fabrics, that's perfect fabric, that's milled. Mud cloth is not. It's just raw and it's by nature.
It looks really nice. I like the look myself personally. It's a cool look. Okay. So right now your sales are doing okay. I mean, you're getting sales.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to branch out and do other things. What about, like, and again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, so this may not even work, but like do you find that people would be looking for something mud cloth for like weddings or any other type of events?
I do not see that for a wedding at all. No.
Okay.
It's just not a refined fabric, in its own right. It's just raw by nature. So,
okay. What about like Western home decor?
mhm.
And I'm just trying to look for another angle that you could take this and leverage the designs and the fabric that would go with, some type of home decor. And again, we're just kind of thinking outside the box to try to kind of figure out, is there another angle and another search that's happening that you could plug something in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't mean we got to come up with it today, but it's just kind of where my mind goes.
Yeah.
But then the next thing would be like, okay, so what I would want to do is, and we'll do that here shortly. We'll get you to share your screen. We can look at your Etsy ads, and that'll kind of tell us some other stories of maybe things that we might not be aware of. But the question I have to ask is like, are you building an email list of any kind?
No, I am not. And I did sign up for your workshop, and I took it. I haven't started yet, but it seems like that is the way that I need to go if I want to make more sales and get more customers.
Yeah. So that would be definitely homework. You bought the 1-day email list building class. So go through it and do it. Because we literally walk you through a live campaign of setting everything up. And then just by the end of it, you're going to have it running. And you'll probably have some emails. And even if you only built an email list of a couple hundred people, it's like you send email, the chances are you're going to make more sales, because in reality is we're relying right now on Etsy for search traffic. Mm-hmm. What we want to do is we want to also, for the people that might have searched for it a month ago, but they're not thinking of mudcloth today, but then you come in the inbox and go, hey, I just created this new tapestry or this new pillow or this new blanket or whatever it is, right? I had this inspiration come to me because of this, that, or the other, and I thought I'd share it with you. I'm so excited that now I get to offer this, in my Etsy shop. Go check it out. Mm-hmm. And then you're gonna probably make some sales from just doing that one little thing. And so it's just different because you just need the people that would be interested in this, not that they're looking for it today. And so that's where that whole, you're able to get attention for the right people by putting a giveaway out there of 3 to 5 of your products. Okay. So I would definitely make that like priority, because I think that could take where you're saying you're seeing a dip in sales. We could lift that dip a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Chris, do you want to dig into the Etsy ads yet, or did you want to do something else there?
Let's do that. I'm doing a little bit of digging in the background, and I think, Allison, one of the things that Scott just mentioned is going to be the thing that we have to figure out if you want to grow this to, it was 100,000.
Yeah.
Is what is the actual demand in this market? And the two keywords that you had in most of those listings were African decor and mudcloth. And I don't think those two things alone have enough volume in the Etsy ecosystem to get us there.
Can you pull that
just
up,
looking
Chris?
at this?
Can you pull up the
yeah. So let me see if I can find just the mudcloth one here.
That's kind of why I was looking at, like, could we tap it into weddings? Can we tap it into another decor style, right? Because that would open us up. But okay, the numbers won't lie. So what do we got here, Chris?
Yeah, so looking at this was from mudcloth, and interestingly, like with a lot of other things on Etsy, when we type that in, we get a lot of other things that are mildly or moderately related to mudcloth, because people don't necessarily care that it's mudcloth. They care that it looks like mudcloth. So I actually came in and filtered out the products to only contain things that have mudcloth in the title. And so what we're looking at here is the search for mudcloth, and then the products that have the mudcloth in the title. And if we look at this, we see kind of our top seller here, Scott's doing $3,300.
Hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick. If you're wondering what tool we're using to gather all of this information and to really make these important decisions on products, well, the tool is called Everbee. It's the only tool that we personally use for everything Etsy. They have everything from product research, keyword research, and they also offer email marketing now. That tool you can get access to absolutely free when you visit brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you'll get 10 free searches for the month. You can try it out before you invest in this tool. My recommendation is every single Etsy seller should be using this tool. So if you want to try it, go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you can go ahead and get access to it immediately. All right, let's get back to the audit.
Right? And that's sewing cloth. There's not a ton of demand as we start to go down the list here, which means any change in that or any new competition can have kind of an outsized impact on that sales number. It's not to say that we can't get there. It's to say that we have to figure out what people are calling. The other keyword that I looked at was African decor, because I saw that in a bunch of your titles, right? Yeah. And it appears that doesn't have that much more demand within the Etsy ecosystem. Looking at this, we see 39 sales, $4,500. I'm actually going to sort this by revenue because I know you have a bit of a higher price point too. So $4,500, $4,000, right? And a lot of it's like, it is African centric, but it's literally Africa, right? And that's what people mean when they type in African decor. They're like, they're looking for a wooden map of Africa or a woman's head that is a planter, right? Some of those kinds of things. And so what we have to decide, Allison, is do we want to focus just on the decor angle, or do we want it to be like My African Home? Like, is mudcloth the thing for you? Is that what you want to build the store around? And if so, then we might not get to that $100,000 mark. Right. Or are we more focused on bringing that style and all of the things that we can bring in around it? And if so, then we can start to add in some other Afrocentric things into the shop that can get us closer to that $100,000 mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I would also like to bring in other global fabrics, like like other organic cottons and stuff from India and from Thailand, because a lot of my competitors are doing that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where I would start to explore, because like you said, and that's why when you said global fabrics in your intake, I wrote that out because I'm like, immediately I thought of a traveler, someone who's traveled and they want to take part of that experience home with them.
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity for you to be like, okay, I'm getting this fabric from this place. And now you can then position it as this came from the place that you want to bring home. Right. Mm-hmm. So I would probably spend some time there and see like, what are the searches that are being done the most for the places that you could find fabric. Mm-hmm. Right. And like you said, some of your competitors are already doing it. So let's let them take the lead, right? And then it's not like we're not going to copy them. We're just like, oh, they did on a certain like India. Like you're like, oh, they're selling a whole bunch there. Maybe that's my first, my first whack at like adding something onto this brand. Yeah.
I think the only issue I have with that is, since I make all of this myself, I sew everything that you see on my site. I don't want to buy the finished products from India, because then for me it's not really it may be handmade by them, but I don't know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can I challenge you on that for a second?
Yes.
I think there's a really cool story there. So I would not be buying it from the largest textile factory in India. But I guarantee you, if you start digging into the different Indian fabrics, the different South American fabrics, the different Asian fabrics, you're going to find that there's a village somewhere or a group of people who are making something in the traditional way.
Yes.
And you can showcase the story of that.
Yeah.
And support the local producer at the same time. You're buying it at a wholesale price and reselling it. Yes, you're not going to make as much margin as you would if you bought the raw fabric, which you still could from those people if you wanted to. But if it's something like you don't want to learn how to work with a new fabric, that's fine, right? Okay. Like, let's go get that product. It's still a handmade product because it's made by, Maria Cordova over there in the Andes Mountains or whatever. And she and her family have been sewing this fabric this way for 300 years, and they're still doing it, right?
Got it.
And so you get to then become the showcase of those. Not only do you get to bring cool new fabrics, cool new designs to Etsy, to your website, to wherever else you're going to end up selling these, but it's also a huge conversion piece, and you get to tell the story of it, which from a marketing perspective makes it really easy. Scott asked you about the email list, right? Yeah. How easy would it be to write an email about the story of the lady who's 90-year-old Indian lady who's been doing this to support her family for the last 80 years, right? Yeah. Like that email sells itself. Right. And if you have those products in your store, you're bringing those designs to people. They can bring that piece of India. They can bring that piece of Chile. They can bring that piece of West Africa back with them. Right. And they get to feel like they're supporting somebody at the same time.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like all that. All right, cool. Can we, let's go ahead and try to share your screen.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the audit.
All right. So this is last 30 days, $272.97 spent and $1,716.79 in revenue. That's pretty good. That's a good number there. I like that. 14 orders, 680 clicks, 65,000. We've got some traffic here and we've got some clicks. Like you said, though, so what's that conversion rate on that, Chris? Do some Chris Schaefer math.
Just rough. It's like a 1% click-through rate, right? A little over, and then 2% conversion rate.
That's pretty good.
But for 700 clicks would be 2%. So it's a little over 2%.
Yeah. So let's do this then. So scroll down a little bit and let's dig into some of this stuff here. Okay. And then can you sort by orders up, in where it says views, clicks, or click on that one more time. So, yep. There you go.
First thing I'm seeing here, Scott, is that there's a lot more potential here, and it may just not be that people are typing in African mudcloth.
Yeah. Just go back to that tab there and do that again on the orders. Click it one more time. It should. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So that there. Yeah. Okay. The MudCloth pillow cover with arrow, it's only a 0.9. So there is like the click-through rate's low, but it got 6 clicks and it got 3 orders.
Scott, how good is a 50% conversion rate?
It's unheard of.
Right. So, I wish every ad I ever ran had a 50% conversion rate.
Oh
right?
my
And
god!
we see
Like I don't think anybody.
131.39 return on ad spend.
Yeah,
right?
that's-
That's just unrealistic. Nobody should have that expectation. I'm glad that you have it, Allison.
But even the other one, the black authentic MudCloth pillow, it's a 1% click through, 48 clicks, and then that one airs at 3 orders, and that's a 30 ROAS, which is insane. The other one down there below, it's got a 0.4 on the click-through rate, so not a good click-through rate, but it got 3 clicks and it made 1 order at $107. That's a good one. Yeah, there's a lot here.
So, Allison, the first things first here, you have like a 7.5 ROAS. So for every $1 that you're putting in on ads, you're making 7.5. And I don't know what your cost of goods is, but typically 4 to 5 to 1. So if you had a 4 or 5 to 1 return on ad spend, is considered infinitely scalable. So just so you're aware of where we're starting. Now, you could have much higher cost of goods. I don't know, but we're in a good place. So there is demand here, and there is room to move to play here. I'm actually a lot more optimistic looking at the ad stats than I was just looking at the front end stats. And the question for me, looking at something like views, where we have authentic MudCloth wall hanging African wall art, 16,000 views. Where are those views and clicks coming from? Because it must not be MudCloth, just looking at what was showing up and what was selling there. So that's where ads come in really handy. And people get very confused, Scott, as to why you and I are such big fans of Etsy ads. They're like, oh my God, I'm only making $8 for every $1 that I'm putting in, or whatever the return on ad spend is.
Yeah,
but also it's the data.
That's what I don't understand about this one, because I just created this probably about 3 weeks ago and listed it. And immediately I got 2 sales. But no, this is, I think, the one product that I've had the single product I have the most views on. And there's 16,000 views, but people are favoriting, but they're not purchasing except for 2 people. So that's what I'm trying to understand, if there's a way to understand what's going on there.
Let's drill into the details on that one. If you can drill in, then go to detail stats. Yep. And then open up their searches.
Let's scroll up. I want to look at the top really fast before we open that up, right? So 243 clicks, 2 orders. We're a little under that 1% of where we would want to be, but it's still not bad. It's not like we're way off here, right? And if we're looking at the click-through rate here, what would that be? Somebody help me out in the chat. That, like, it's over 1%, like 1.5%, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing okay. The question is, why aren't people converting? And a lot of times, Allison, that comes down to the specific keywords that they're clicking in from.
Yeah.
Right. So it might not be exactly what they're looking for. And that's when we would come in. We look at the searches that led to this ad.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let's drill in there. Yep. Click on that. And then let's start exploring. Go to clicks, go to sort it by clicks, if you would. That way. Yep. There you go. Perfect. So, okay, cool. So African art, perfect. African wall art. So these are all high clicks, which is MudCloth, fabric wall hanging. Okay, now that one there. So fabric wall hanging, we got 4 clicks. We paid for that. Do you think it's direct enough that if someone clicked on that would be someone that would want to buy what you have?
I mean, it is just a piece of the MudCloth that's mounted on that frame. So I would assume so.
So that's where I would say, I mean, we could give it a little bit more time, but fabric wall hanging, yes, I get what you're saying, right? It's like someone's not searching for MudCloth necessarily, but the one above that, they are. So that one there, I wouldn't want to turn off the MudCloth. The fabric wall hanging one, I'd be on the fence.
Okay.
Like fabric art, you know, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's more fabric-y. It's like, it's fabric-y, but it's like mudcloth is mudcloth, right? Yes, it's kind of like it's fabric, but is it rough fabric? Is it like, then I'd be like more into it, but it's like fabric is fabric. Like the fabric is so broad.
It could also be macrame, right? There's a million different things people could mean when they type in fabric art or fabric wall hanging. So again, this is a great place where we're going to do the very easy test of going to Etsy.com, typing in fabric wall hanging into the search, ignoring the ads, because obviously we're showing up for this, and just looking at the first like 8 to 12 organic search results. And if it's all mudcloth, great. If it's macrame, random fabric posters, those kinds of things, then we probably want to turn that off just to sculpt the budget and better spend it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, like you've got clicks on there, right, for fabric wall hanging, but in reality, those people they saw it and they were like interested, like, oh, that's interesting, but they weren't really looking for it, right? Because it's mudcloth they're looking for. Even though you didn't get a sale on it for mudcloth, I would rather have those people. It's only 4 people, and I mean it's even only 4 people for wall hanging, right? But it's 4 people that are less likely to buy than the others. So you might have spent $1.50, $2 on those 4 clicks. I'd rather save that $2 and push that to the mudcloth.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to show up for this other stuff organically. You will. It's just we're just trying to allocate the budget differently.
Better, right?
The best that we can, save you some money, so the money can get towards the ones that are more likely to turn into a sale.
Gotcha.
Keep scrolling though, Chris. I want to see some of these other keywords. Yeah, like boho picture frame. Got 2 clicks from that. I turned that off. Right. Chris, I thought you were scrolling. You're not scrolling. Allison, you're scrolling.
Allison's at the wheel.
I was telling Chris what to do.
She answers to Chris though. So
yeah, I was telling Chris to scroll. I forgot you were controlling it over
I'll
there.
let you scroll, Chris.
I was gonna say,
we're gonna be here a while.
Come on, Chris, scroll. Will you? I want to see more stuff. No. All right. So, but I mean, you get the idea, right? Like wall tapestry, boho.
Unique wall art.
Yeah.
Is it? Yes. However, right?
Like mudcloth fabric, 2 clicks. Yeah, keep that one. Right. Boho picture frame, no. Anything with mudcloth, I'm leaving. So that's what I would say. Like in any of these that's getting like clicks and you're not getting sales, although a lot of yours are doing well. Your ROAS is like insane. But this one here is the one we're focused on because it's getting a lot of views, which is getting a lot of traffic, which is great. But is it the right traffic? Yeah, I think like looking at the data is telling you also just by combing through that, you're like, okay, I'm getting indexed for all this stuff. That's great. So that means your optimization is on point. You did a good job. But now what we want to do is we want to train the Etsy ads algorithm to not show our stuff for that other stuff because we don't want to pay for it.
Right.
So Chris, do you think that there's opportunity here to get to the $100,000 mark?
So what I would want to see in Allison, if you can flip back over to your ads tab, I want to take a look at one more. But I think I don't know that we'll necessarily get to 100K, but I think there's a lot more room here than there looked if we can find some of these keywords. So if you go back to your main ad screen, Allison, just hit the back tab once more. I want to see the one that had, what was it, 16,000 or whatever. What was the one, Scott, with ridiculous views here?
Well, that was
one of those was the
mudcloth.
mudcloth. But there was another one that had a couple thousand. Do me a favor, quick, Allison, sort by clicks. So in all those options across the top, if you click clicks.
There you go.
Okay, so 6,000, right? The geometric bowl, mudcloth pillow cover, right? Let's take a look at the mudcloth pillow cover. Allison. Should be like the 4th one down.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Click on the
detailed
detailed stats.
Yeah. Okay.
And then let's open up searches that led to this ad.
Yeah.
So again, we're seeing like 6.5 ROAS. This is doing really well for us. What we want to see is there anything that we can add in from a product standpoint? So The other way to use these keywords is to look and see what Etsy thinks that we are relevant for that doesn't necessarily pertain to this product, but is something that we could bring into the shop. So would you say, Allison, that this is Kuba cloth?
The design resembles Cuba cloth. That's why, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we could be relevant for that. But also, when we're looking at this information, wow, this isn't Cuba cloth, right? It resembles Cuba cloth, but I'm still showing up and there's a lot of views coming in for that, right? I know that if I added some Cuba cloth products that I could potentially do that. And then we're going to go through that sales evaluation again. We're going to type in Cuba cloth just to see what comes up. We're going to run something like Everbee on those search results and see what the sales volume is and see if it's worth bringing into our shop as something that we could add in addition to the mud cloth. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually a good find right there. So Cuba cloth, like it resembles it, but it's not it. So if someone did search it, found yours, they're like, oh, that's cool, but I wanted Cuba cloth. They're not going to buy it. So if you had something that was Cuba cloth, that could actually give you another advantage of tapping into another search that you could fulfill with a product. So this is good for product research in a sense too, because there's something that's closely related. Go to the listing though, that you said you're getting a lot of favorites and a lot of, you're getting traffic, but you're getting a lot of favorites. Maybe
It's the one that we were just looking at.
Yeah. Can you open up that listing itself?
Yeah.
And let's look and see. Let's see here. And then that way there we can kind of look and see why it might not be converting. Yeah, there you go.
And guys, you want to see it on the back end?
Yeah,
or on the front end?
Can we see it on the front end? So I think if you just go to the top there, you can go view.
Yeah, there should be view on Etsy.
Or
on
even
Etsy?
Yeah, or preview.
You on Etsy?
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so the one thing I'm noticing is you don't really have a sale running. And
yeah.
The only reason why I'm saying that is because if you're running Etsy ads, that's a conversion piece that some people are going to want to know that they're getting a deal or there's a reason for them to buy now. People are favoriting it because they want to remember it and they might want to buy it later. But if it had a short window of time to buy it at a discount, that could convert them higher. So even if it was a small 10% for because you just want to boost the sales like right now and start getting some reviews on this, I would do that while you're running the ads.
Okay.
So that would be something that I would probably do. Chris, what do you got there? You're thinking over there. I can see.
So the first thing that I think when I'm looking at this is what the heck size is it? And I know you have the width and the height in the item details.
Yeah.
But this could be this big, or it could be this big, right? You could be giving me like 2 square inches of cloth. And so I'm wondering, looking at this, right? It's 14 by 17. But with that, we have to assume that 1, people read, and 2, that they still have context for what 14 by 17 is, right? We know that's like a little over a foot by just under 1.5 feet.
Right.
But also, what does that look like in the real world? And so it looks like your next photo down here, or potentially the third one, gives us a little bit more context for what
that one does.
like
yeah, that one
in the real world.
Yep.
And so, and I don't necessarily think that would be the photo that I would make the main photo because we want to really show off the item. But we need to make a very obvious way for people to have some context for what this is.
Well, you could even crop that in. If you cropped it where you only saw part of the pillow and then you saw the other, that way you know the size of a pillow, a little plant, and you're like, oh, that's the size. It's probably like this big, right? Like you get an idea. The other way, it's like you said, Chris, is it a 30 by 40? Is it a 10 by 10? So yeah, I think adding some an image in there like this, but maybe crop that resembles the size. That could
What
help.
about if I did like a graphic with, that shows with an arrow that shows the width, it's 14 inches and then the height is 17 inches, like on that photo?
I don't love that as much just because I don't like the first image being like dimension. I like it to be like representative of like, I can imagine this in my home.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this, I'm like, oh, I could set that over there by my doorway on our bench, and that's what it would look like. Like I'm
Okay.
automatically envisioning what that's going to look like because you have things with it.
Okay.
So I would rather that than having the other, because the other, this, doing it this way that we're saying, it still gets the point across how big it is without you putting arrows and stuff on a picture.
Okay. So you're saying crop it where I would take out part of the pillow.
Yeah,
and
I would just
focus
crop
on
it
the
in where
baby.
you saw part of the pillow, so you kind of knew it, and then you maybe even just down a little bit below where the bench is, so you can kind of
Yeah.
see a little bit of the wall, and
Okay.
that would be the image. Just make it, you know, the same dimensions.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I would still leave this image in there too, though. So
Yeah.
when people are scrolling through, because this is a beautiful image. I love the textures in it and the style. It's like, it's great. The other thing is too, like if you run a sale right now, there's a good chance that people that favored it will be notified that you're running a sale. So if there is a lot of people that favorited it, do you have the internal trigger set up too inside?
I do have it for favorites since I know this one is getting lots of favorites, but again, no one's purchased. And I don't know if price is an issue.
It could be. It could be.
And I find usually when I run sales, I mean, the most I've ever done on a sale is 15 and maybe 20. I know that I can't do more than that because then it affects my profit margin. So I have a feeling that this price point might be a little too high. And in this price, I've already factored in shipping. I've already factored in my labor. So
I think an interesting test would be this, though, is to test it at like, and in the beginning though, and I get it, like your labor's involved because you're doing these yourself and everything. So but I would want to test it just to see if I did adjust my price, would I be able to, is that the issue? I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is.
right.
Now, yes, you might not be making as much if you discount right now, but you are going to start to get some sales velocity on it, which also will have reviews on it, which then will also get people to want to buy it.
Right.
And so that's where you could always do that. The other thing you could do is like, and I mean, in all reality, like the price that you're putting on it is what you're saying that the thing is worth. I personally could see this as retail price being $89 or $99 because it's like, it's mudcloth that you're doing it. You're putting it together. It's like, how do you put a price tag on that? So you could very easily increase your retail price and then just discount it so it's $79.99 or $69 or whatever it is. I'm not a fan of like making the price bigger just so you can run a discount.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am a fan of like when the value is there, there's nothing wrong with you setting the price at what it's worth. Right. And I think that's something that I would probably want to, because I think 15% is good, 20% is better. I mean, obviously we know that. And if you're running ads to this to test it, I would want to run a little promotion on it to see how that would affect it.
Okay.
So image.
How are you coming up with your pricing?
So whatever the cost of goods is, and then I add my hourly labor and shipping. I just have an average for shipping, Etsy ads, which I might guess at, just all of the costs that are involved in putting it together. And that's how I come up with my price.
Yeah.
Okay. So Scott just mentioned something that I think is really important for people to understand. There is the cost plus pricing model, and then there's the value plus pricing model, right? If we're pricing on cost plus, we're always going to put ourselves in a weird place because we're only thinking about this from how much does it cost, multiply that by 3, and that's a good enough price that I should probably someday possibly make some money on, right? There's also the value, and this is what Scott was just touching on. This is worth substantially more than $80. And we can price it however we want because it's a unique piece. Now, I'm not saying price this at $250 because that's unrealistic, right? But we could easily sell this at $99. And if then we wanted to discount it to $80 because it's a product launch special or whatever, then we know based on backwards engineering the cost plus model that you're still going to make money on it. And so people are afraid to price things higher because they think that it will result in fewer sales.
I
It's
have that
actually
problem.
almost
Yeah.
always the opposite. The higher the price of something, yes, you're going to take out the people who are a value buyer, but at $80, they weren't going to buy this anyway. Right. So what you are then able to do is you're able to say, hey, this is a $100 value or a $120 value. It's a handmade thing. It's a unique thing. And the value is there. Then the people looking for handmade things or unique things are going to buy it. You're familiar with both Toyota and Lexus, right?
Oh, I had a Lexus, yes.
Yeah, it's just a fancy Toyota. It's built on the same exact car chassis.
Yes, it
Right?
is.
What's the difference? The seat's a little bit nicer and the infotainment is shinier, right?
Yes.
But there is the associated value with it. Why do
Yeah.
people pay for that when they could just buy the Toyota? No one knows, right? My
Mhm.
parents
Yeah.
have the same model in Lexus and Toyota, and no one would know the difference, right? But there's the value associated with it because it's perceived to be a higher end
value.
brand.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that it has a higher price tag on it, right? Ford is guilty of the same thing. You have Ford, Lincoln,
Luxury.
Mercury.
Yep.
Right? Lincoln and Mercury are higher end brands than Ford. Guess what they use on all of their cars? The same exact chassis, the same car. They just build up a slightly different look or a slightly different interior and then sell it for $10,000.
Right.
What you are then able to do is appeal to that higher end buyer. And that still gives you room to discount into $70 or $80. And you will actually end up selling more because people perceive it as a more unique thing. This is a limited run. It's not a print on demand item. I think you have 6 left or 5 left based on what it's showing me here on my side. You had 6 views in the last 24 hours and you have 3 people with this in the cart. All we have to do is get this in front of people, which you're already doing a great job of with Etsy ads, and then push them over the edge. If we move more to that value-based pricing from the cost-based pricing, then that gives us the room to be able to discount this if we want to, or offer a 25% to the abandoned carts to say, hey, go get it. And you still end up making the money because it's not going to stop the people. The difference between $80 and $90 to those people is irrelevant, right? They added it to their cart. That $10 is not going to make the difference in whether they purchase or not from an add to cart perspective. It could make a difference in I need to get this now, which is what you're looking at when you're trying to run a sale or a promotion, right? You're giving somebody a reason to finally pull the trigger on it versus this is a really cool art piece. The next time I'm on Etsy, I'll take a look at it again. And then if I really like it, I'll buy it. We have to get people out of that mindset. And the best way to do that is with a limited time promotion or just reminding them that they really, really liked this thing and giving them a reason to buy right now with the abandoned cart or the favorites type promotion.
So I have a question about the abandoned carts, the favorites. I do currently I'm doing the favorite offer. But if I did that and I did an abandoned cart or a thank you, like can a buyer use more than one of those so they get 10% off and another 10 and another 10?
No.
Or can they use one?
Yep. It'll just be one and it's going to probably go to the higher of all of them.
Okay.
So yeah, so they can't like stack them.
Right.
Etsy will default to what they perceive to be the best deal. So if you offered 2 10% coupons and one included free shipping or something like that, they would default to that coupon.
Yeah.
The only time that things should stack are when Etsy offers something like they did, Scott, what was it? It was $5 off any store on Etsy and then $10 off. That would stack because that's coming from Etsy. That's not coming from you.
Right.
But as the seller, whatever offer you make, they're going to offer the best deal of all the coupons that somebody tries to type in or all the offers that somebody tries to type in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have there's one other product that if you guys don't mind just looking at because it's like original, no one does it. And maybe that's why it's not selling because no one's searching for it.
It could be, but let's go ahead and take a look. Go ahead and share it. Yeah.
Let me just.
Yeah. So mudcloth wall art, framed artwork, line art, urban art. Yeah. I mean, I guess the question is like, are people looking for mudcloth wall art? And if they are, and they see this, is this something appealing to them that they want to put in their space? You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
I think it does. Cause again, a lot of times decor is like an art, it's personal preference. But on this one, now, how long has this one been listed?
Quite some time,
Okay.
A while. And for me, what makes it different and unique is that it's, like I said, I ripped the mudcloth apart and I created the mat out of mudcloth instead of paper.
Got it.
So I thought, oh, she's being unique, this is going to sell, and maybe it's the image, I don't know, but it's nothing, zippo zero.
Are you getting views on it?
Not many.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the stats.
Okay.
If you scroll up just a little bit, you should be able to click on the stats button. It's right next to the copy link button.
Yep. Yeah, right there. There you go. Yep. So 14 visits. When was that? That was this month?
Last 30 days, yeah.
Last 30? Yeah. So I would probably then lean to like what you were saying. Like, I just don't think people are either searching for it, or if they are searching for it, you're maybe coming up and there's impressions, but they're not clicking.
Mm-hmm.
So then it would be like, okay, like, now are you running Etsy ads on this one or no?
No, I think I turned it on. I'm not sure. I'd have to.
Well, I was going to say it might be an interesting test to go ahead and turn them on for this one if you want to see the data. And even if you did it for like 5 or 6 days,
Okay.
Just to kind of see if you wanted to.
Okay.
But a lot of times, again, like, this is something you created, but you didn't create it from a search perspective. You just created it because you thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it's different.
Yeah, it's different, right? So if you wanted to try to lean in a little bit and see if you could kind of give this thing some life by putting it in front of people, then I would advertise it. And then I would want to look at the data and say, all right, like, how many impressions are we getting? How many views are we getting? How many clicks are we getting? Like, looking at all that stuff. And it might be like, it's just not getting the views, or it's getting the views, not getting the clicks. Well, then we got to look at maybe change the main image. But right now it looks like you're not getting views.
Yeah.
But the views means that you're not getting clicks.
Okay.
The ads tell a different story because it shows you the impressions. And the impressions is something that a lot of people don't look at, but we look at, because that's kind of like at least showing us that there's a search for this thing. The clicks turn into views.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of probably what I would say on that. You have something else, Chris?
Yeah, the other thing on that, and it's just a general question, is it a picture frame, or does it come with that print in it?
It's a fully framed piece of art.
Okay, so that may be part of the reason why you're getting some clicks and not sales from that. Is like, that to me, if you broke that down into like a smaller picture frame that they could put their own image into, there's potentially, and again, we'd want to look at the keyword data for that. We would want to then look at what the demand is for that.
Yeah.
But you're eliminating some of the personal side of art, if that makes sense, where it's like, okay, that's cool. That's just the image that goes in it. But I really love that frame, right? Like, I have a bunch of picture frames behind me. If I had to buy the picture frame with the picture in it,
right,
I wouldn't make the choices that I made there, right? And so they have to both really want that frame and the image that is behind it. Take a look, see if there is like mudcloth picture frame, if that's something people are looking for. I don't think the idea is bad. We just have to see if there is demand for it and see if there's a way where we can pivot that slightly. Are we going to sell a mudcloth picture frame for $100? Probably not.
No.
But if we're able to sell 200 of those a year, right, then we're okay with not selling that at $100 every time that we do that. And then you don't have to do the image. You don't have to do any of those kinds of things. So I like the idea, but we're asking people to make a few different choices. And since it's a really personal thing, they have to both want that specific image and the mudcloth thing. And so we're very much limiting the pool of potential buyers for that, for what is really a unique piece. And I know we did an Etsy shop audit for somebody who said, they said artists shouldn't be on Etsy. We don't have really search demand for that, right? And so we have to figure out, is there a way where we can create some search demand for it by seeing if there is like mudcloth picture frame? And if there is, awesome. Let's take that idea, pivot it slightly, and put it in front of the people who are already looking for something that we can.
Yeah. So we just covered a lot. Allison, I know that there's a lot there, but like, what are your main takeaways? Like, what are you going to work on once we end this and you take a breath? and then the next thing that you're going to do to work on, what's the big things that come to mind?
Biggest thing is the email list.
Okay.
Email marketing. Yeah.
I like that. Because you are getting sales, and the sales that you're getting, we want to try to get those people. And so I think the very first step is make sure that you create your VIP club, and then you make that noticeable, within your listings, but also in your banner, but more importantly with your customers. So when your customers are getting that first welcome message from you, from Etsy, that you get to write, that would be in there inviting them to join that list. And then once you get that person on the list, you can now message them, on a regular basis and do some really fun things. And I do think that that's going to take some of those low points. It's going to make them lift even just a little bit. And then I would move towards, doing the giveaway as we talk about, and building the list externally, and then just keep working on that to bring more awareness to your products, which are amazing. And so I think you have really good products. I think another thing that I don't want you to lose sight of is there could be something that's right alongside the mud cloth. And I think in your Etsy ads data, we had that one there, and I forget the name of it. What was it, like Kuba or?
Kuba, yes, Kuba cloth.
Yeah, like that one. Like finding some like that, and then saying, could I create something for that? And spending a little bit of time there. And that might allow you to broaden out enough to hit the number that you want to hit.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, hey, thank you so much, Allison, for coming on and doing this. And we appreciate it. And just keep us posted. That's all we ask.
Thank you. I will. Thanks.
Awesome.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.